Hey everyone, Anthony Taylor from SME Strategy here. Our team is really excited to be able to walk you through the strategic planning process and getting everybody aligned and clear on where you want to go moving forward. And I wanted to provide you a quick overview of the process that we're going to walk you through in these 5 online sessions. So the first session that we're going to have coming up is going to be the current state. Okay, and that means we're going to first celebrate our successes, look at everything that got us to this point so that we can, celebrate it, acknowledge it, and also look forward and to really pat ourselves on the back in terms of what we've done well. Next, we're going to go through a SWOT analysis so that we can look at our strengths, the things we do well, our weaknesses, some of the things we do less well, all of the opportunities that we have as a grounds for beginning to prioritize them, and then look at some of the threats and things that we need to be aware of and be conscious about. And then finally, we're going to do a pestle analysis. So that's going to look at all of the trends that we see in the coming years looking forward so that we can be proactive instead of reactive in terms of what's coming up in the future. At any point, if you want to get more into any of these topics, you can look in our members only portal and expand on each of these sections. So session 2 is when we start looking at the future state. And that means, where are we going? So that includes 3-year visioning. So if we're 100% successful, what does that look like for us in vivid detail? What does our organization look like? What does our teamwork look like? What our capacities look like? And all of that, and getting aligned on what that looks like and what success means, as well as our mission or purpose. And the questions we'll be asking is, who are we? What do we do? And who do we do it for? As a means of prioritizing, as a means of really getting clear on our core purpose as an organization, and then how does that align with our vision and where we want to go in the future. Session 3 is around values and risks and what's going to drive us forward. So first, identifying the values and behaviors that we have, and then look at what are the values and behaviors that we want to have in order to support us accomplishing our vision successfully. Next, we'll do a risk register, and that's when we look at all of the things that might get in the way of accomplishing that future that we want. We'll look at all the risks, we'll identify them explicitly, then we'll look at mitigating them, or rather looking at impact and likelihood of those risks happening, which we'll expand more in the session, so that we can prioritize the risks and understand which ones we really need to mitigate first. That brings us into session 4, prioritization. That means really focusing on doing a couple things well instead of many things poorly. So we'll set 3 to 4 strategic priorities or focus areas. And within those, we'll have objectives, which we call, qualitative vision descriptions of success, as well as SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable measures of success for each of those priority areas. So really focusing on what are the critical things we need to do now in order to get us to where we want to go. And that brings us into session 5, which is action planning. How do we expand on those priority areas? What do we need to do to move us forward? We'll talk about communication planning. How are we going to share the plan with the rest of the organization? How are we going to take the plan from on paper into reality? As well as what are we going to do from a process standpoint to track, monitor, and make sure that our plan is a living plan. So I hope that gives you a good overview of our 5-session strategic planning process. As I said earlier, if you want to expand on any of these, if you want to get some pre-work or anything like that, be sure to check our members only portal where you'll have access to everything that we talk about, as well as an in-depth overview of each session. So we look forward to working with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, and we'll see you in our next session.